Felicidades! Congratulations, graduates of 2021. This year has been unprecedented. It has been full of unexpected turns and overwhelming need for flexibility. Nonetheless, we are all blessed because we have had the opportunity to study in person and have a semblance of normalcy, where others were not given the same opportunity. That being said, this event is a testament not just to your year and a half of studies in the midst of a pandemic, but a testament to all your hard work, service, and prayer in all your time here at the University of Notre Dame. Although different in presentation, it is still a blessing to have peers, faculty, staff, and alumni desire to acknowledge you and recognize all of your accomplishments. I am Rebecca Becky Rubalcaba, Assistant Director of Outreach in the Office of Campus Ministry. And today, seré su servidora de ceremonia, your mistress of ceremony, for this year's University of Notre Dame Latinx Recognition Ceremony. To get us started, we have Mr. Ryan Willerton, Associate Vice President for Career and Professional Development, to deliver our invocation.
Bienvenidos a todas las familias para esta ocasión especial. Déjanos rezar. En el nombre del Padre, y del Hijo, y del Espíritu Santo. Gracias, Dios, para este día de celebración. Y gracias para estos graduados. Nuestros hijos, hermanos, nietos, sobrinos, primos y amigos. Te pedimos tu bendición durante este tiempo de transición. Para nuestros graduados, por favor, recuerda esto. Estaremos contigo. Tu familia, tus profesores, consejeros y amigos. Estaremos contigo durante los tiempos felices y estaremos contigo durante los días tristes. Y más importante, estaremos contigo cuando enfrentes desafíos. Somos familia, la familia de Notre Dame. Mientras das el siguiente paso en tu vida, estaremos contigo. Y hoy, en el día de tu graduación, oramos por ti. Pedimos todo esto en tu Dios y la Virgen María, Notre Dame. Amén. Felicitaciones.
Ryan, thank you so very much for your words of invocation and getting us started. It is now my privilege to present to you our honored guest and keynote staff speaker, Dr. Luis Fraga. Dr. Luis Fraga is the Reverend Donald P. McNeil, CSC, Professor of Transformative Latino Leadership, Joseph and Elizabeth Robbie Professor of Political Science, Director of the Institute for Latino Studies, and Fellow at the Institute for Educational Initiatives. He is a native of Corpus Christi, Texas. Dr. Fraga received his A.B. cum laude from Harvard University and his M.A. and Ph.D. from Rice University. His fields of study are in American politics, where he specializes in Latino politics, voting rights, immigration, and education. He has published 6 books and over 40 articles in scholarly journals and edited volumes. Dr. Fraga has served on many different boards and associations and councils, and in 2011, President Barack Obama appointed him to the President's Advisory Commission on Educational Excellence for Hispanics, where he also served as co-chair of the Post-Secondary Education Subcommittee. He has received 20 awards for his research, teaching, advising, mentoring, and service over his 33-year career as a scholar and university professor. Dr. Fraga is an advocate, a champion for students and their education here at the University of Notre Dame. And it is with great pleasure that I present to you, Dr. Luis Fraga.
Thank you to the Latino Student Alliance and its organizing committee, the Office of Multicultural Student Programs and Services, especially Yvette Rodriguez, for this opportunity to address you this evening. Para todos los padres y madres y otros miembros de familia, bienvenidos y gracias por todo que han hecho para apoyar a sus hijas e hijos. Felicidades. Graduates, parents, families, guests, members of the board of directors, faculty, administrators, and students. It is an honor for me to be here with you today. I love commencement celebrations. They are moments of joy, family, and community. Graduates, please look at your parents, grandparents, siblings, and all of those who work so hard to give you the opportunity that we celebrate today. Graduates, give them an abrazo fuerte, a big hug, to say thank you. All of you will remember this day and weekend for many, many years to come. In the time that I have with you, and fully consistent with the true meaning of celebration, I want to talk with you about what I have learned in my 66 years and my 37 years of being a member of the Academy as a professor and administrator. What I want to talk to you about is leadership, and what I think is the source and hope of the leadership our country, our world need in this 21st century. To be more precise, the source of leadership that is needed in the 21st century will come from your values, and the hope driving that leadership will be provided by your vision. Graduates, I call you to build on the values you have gained here at Notre Dame and use them to ground you in all of your work. But do not be satisfied with success solely at your work. I call you to be bold, to be thoughtful, to be passionate and compassionate in deciding what the meaning of your life will be to you, your family, your church, your community, your nation, and your world. Think of it this way. What is the vision that you have for what legacy you will leave your children and your grandchildren? It seems odd to ask you to think of this now, when you are young. I want to tell you, however, that if you think of legacy, what kind of understanding, what kind of empathy, what kind of love you want to leave the most precious gifts God will ever give you, the next generations, you will make different decisions, better decisions, more Christ-centered decisions than you would otherwise make. Use your values to live the vision that will drive you to have a life that makes a difference in our world. There are two basic types of leaders in the world today. Perhaps there have always been two types of leaders. One type of leader is the transactional leader. This type of leader is the one with whom we are most familiar. She or he is the person who is widely recognized for the position they have attained and the elevated status that comes with that position. In fact, it is this type of leader that, in the view of a number of thinkers, our colleges and universities most often produce. That is the successful professional, doctor, lawyer, minister, business person, scholar, engineer, nurse, teacher, and professor. They are well educated, do their jobs with grace, and are often rewarded appropriately. When they are leaders within their professions, in their offices, hospitals, law firms, and companies, they are appreciated by their organizations. What is most important to note, however, is that they see themselves as successful individuals within traditional frameworks of understanding. They succeed as individuals. They serve their families. They may even volunteer in their churches and communities, but ultimately they are simply routine decision makers who do their jobs well, but only according to well-established expectations. In their professional work, they in fact could be replaced by many of their similarly accomplished colleagues. Graduates, I call you to have the values and vision to be another type of leader. That other type of leader is the transformational leader. This leader also exercises great responsibility, works hard, and achieves his or her or his position because of their work ethic. However, this type of leader is not satisfied with the status quo, with achieving authority and standing within established organizations according to well-accepted criteria. The transformational leader has as her or his driving motivation to move their organizations, their co-workers, their students, their communities, and their families to achieve goals they never thought about, to find inspiration, in other words, in new ideas. Think of it this way. The transformational leader brings new, larger, richer goals to organizations, communities, and families. She and he work to empower coworkers, friends, and family members to see their potential in new ways. The transformational leader, most significantly, is not just satisfied with serving those her or his organization or community have always served. Their focus is on working every day to serve those that their organizations, professions, communities, and families have not traditionally served. They're especially focused on including those who have not been included in the past. Additionally, the transformational leader has a vision that builds on the past, but sees even greater possibilities in the future. Transformational leaders look forward, not backward. They look within their deepest values to find a bigger, brighter, and more inclusive vision of the future. Like many of you, I'm not supposed to be here with you today. To many people, the odds were stacked against me. No one in our neighborhood had gone to college. Many of my high school classmates' parents did not have the chance to have very much formal education. I grew up in a highly segregated neighborhood. My elementary school was 100% Latino and African American. My middle school was 100% Latino and African American. My high school had maybe only 1% whites, and the others were Latino and African American. It was not until I went to college at Harvard that I had attended a predominantly white educational institution. My grandparents emigrated from Mexico in the early 1900s. My father's family, the Fragas, moved to Texas in 1905 from Ojuelos, Jalisco, Mexico. My father, Leo, was born outside of Laredo, Texas in 1911. My mother's family, the Dovalinas, moved to Texas in 1915 from Villa Union, Coahuila. My mother, Rosa, was born in 1924 in Eagle Pass, Texas. My grandparents came here without papers because at that time they did not need them to come to the United States. One could say they came here legally because it was impossible for them to migrate to the United States illegally. The category of illegal immigrant did not exist in American law then. Illegal entry was not a civil offense in American law until 1929, approximately. This is a fact that we often conveniently forget today. Now, my parents were very fortunate for Latinos and Mexicano-Americanos of their generation. My father graduated from Harlingen High School in 1929, one of only 3 students of Mexican origin to graduate. There is a story that my grandmother told my father when he was young that for people like us, mijo, there are only 2 options. You either get some education or you work in the fields. She continued, You can make whatever choice you want, mijo, but you're going to get an education. She was a very typical Mexican mother telling him what to do. I love the picture of my father in his high school graduation gown, wearing a bow tie. I think that is why I have always loved wearing bow ties, corbatas de gato, as we say in South Texas. My mother graduated from Eagle Pass High School in 1941. She was the only one of her 13 siblings to have a high school diploma. My mother was an excellent typist and won a scholarship to go to a business college in San Antonio. Her older brother said absolutely not. My father studied law at a small proprietary law school, but he did not have the money to take the bar exam. He never became a lawyer. Neither he nor my mother felt that they could go to college. I know now how blessed my parents were nonetheless. My father told stories of how he, his mother, and sisters lived on the streets in Laredo with no other place to sleep. I don't know my maternal grandmother. I don't know how it was that my paternal grandmother fed so many children. My mom was the baby when my grandfather lost everything during the Depression. Although they were not blessed with material well-being, my parents were, however, blessed with a deep faith in God, a deep faith in the value and virtue of believing deeply, personally, and publicly in their Christian faith, their Catholic faith. It was given to them by their parents. I have to think that it was their faith that gave them the strength to look beyond their challenges. My parents were blessed as well, oddly enough, by being young adults during World War II. This was a challenging time for the country. My father was in the Navy. He worked as a censor, secretly listening to telephone conversations between the United States and Mexico. When someone speculated as to where their child was to be shipped, he cut off the phone conversation. My mother was a telephone operator. My mother and father met during this time and fell in love. They were married for 50 years. My father passed on in 1997. I miss him every day. My mother is now with her family in heaven. She passed to the next life 3 years ago. ¿Cómo me haces falta, mamá? Te quiero con todo mi corazón. My mother and father were part of a generation of Americans that lived through great challenges, but in doing so had faith in a limitless future and a sense of responsibility to build communities of understanding and inclusion. Please don't misunderstand me. My parents' generation lived with the severe lines of separation by class, by race, by ethnicity, by gender, and sexuality that were the norm in their time. But their experiences in World War II demonstrated, beyond traditional prejudices and discrimination, what it was possible for our country to do when the nation worked together against tyranny and softened, however temporarily, the lines of separation that still challenge us today. My parents had a faith in what was possible when our country was at its best and tried, however unevenly, to live up to its highest ideals. My parents had an ever-present faith in God and an ever-present faith in our country's limitless future. They may not have experienced that limitless future themselves, but they prayed and sacrificed to make it available to their children, the next generation. My parents instilled in all of their children to believe in God, embrace our faith journey, and believe in the unlimited integrative capacity of American social and political institutions. They were motivated to build a country where all could live the American dream. All. Everybody. Regardless of immigration status, ethnic racial background, gender, or sexuality. As I reflect with you on my own path to leadership, I know that it is grounded in deep Catholic faith and an equally deep faith in the limitless future that I learned from my parents. What a belief in God can do and has done for me is to give me the strength to overcome inaction, a fear or failure, what in the social sciences is referred to as risk aversion. It has given me the self-confidence to see potential and capacity where others see barriers and fear. If my grandparents had been risk averse, for example, they would not have migrated to the United States. Whatever obstacles my parents faced in their own lives, they always gave to the church whatever money they could. My father taught religion classes. My mother led prayer groups. In their later years, they both worked to evangelize their friends and neighbors to see the value of living a Catholic life. They were the translators for parents who did not speak English in our schools. They led scout groups. They always gave us whatever support we needed in our education and in our sports activities. God, community, family, faith, and nation were one. Believing and giving were one. Practicing one's faith to help others was the example they gave my siblings and me. What gifts of values and vision they gave us. My parents gave me the values and visions to work every day to be a transformational leader. It is not hard to determine if you are a transformational leader. A leader who is not satisfied with only their own success, but who also has the values and vision to help their coworkers, their organizations, their churches, neighborhoods, communities, families, their country to become stronger, more inclusive, more understanding, more loving than ever before. I have learned that it is very easy to determine if one is a transformational leader if one asks oneself 3 straightforward questions. First, am I putting myself in a position where I am out of my comfort zone? Stated differently, am I taking risks? Informed risks, but risks without a guarantee of success. Am a leader, in other words, am I pushing myself and my profession, my community, my family to do our common work better than we ever thought possible? Second, would my parents, grandparents, and ancestors who sacrificed so much to come to this country and endure struggle and discrimination to give me the opportunities that I have be proud of what I am doing and attempting to do? Would I welcome the chance to explain to them, that first generation of our families that came to the United States, why I have the goals that I do and why I made the decisions that I have made? Third, am I helping others in my work and in my life, especially those who are not accustomed to being helped and supported? Am I expanding opportunities to those who have few? Am I working with those who many would not expect me to work? Am I empowering those whom others are unwilling to empower to be full, competent members of our neighborhoods, churches, and nation? These questions are simple, but answers to them only result from brutally honest self-reflection. The answers require thoughtful discernment, continuous reassessment, and I think very deep prayer. It is, however, from these answers that we are in ever stronger positions to be transformational leaders in our work and in our lives. I have a blessed life, a life blessed by God each and every day. The values of faith in God and faith in a limitless future, possible in the United States, have given me the self-confidence to see beyond what others see, to believe in what others sometimes see in me, and to see in myself what others still at times do not see in me. When I was a junior in high school, a counselor told me that I should apply to participate in a summer science institute at the Jackson Laboratory in Bar Harbor, Maine. I had never been north of San Antonio, Texas. My parents said, okay, but I would have to work and raise the money for the portion of the airline ticket and health insurance I had to pay. I did. I went. My parents supported me. I was one of 20 students working with researchers in one of the world's most renowned centers for the study of mammalian genetics. I was the only student who was not white. I had never seen a pine tree, gone hiking, owned a backpack, or knew about camping. My first night there, I was scared. I missed my family. I prayed a rosary. I knew then that God was with me. I worked hard in the lab of Professor Robert Blake, a biochemist from Berkeley. We studied the amino acid content in the urine of lethargic mice. We were doing basic research on the underlying biochemistry of phenylketonuria, a kidney disease that can be fatal in infants. It was there that I learned about the schools in the Ivy League. I was out of my comfort zone, but my grandparents would be proud of what I was doing, and I was doing something very few Latino high school students would ever have the chance to do. With the support of my parents and my high school counselors, I applied to Harvard, Yale, and Columbia and was admitted to all three. I went to Harvard in the fall of 1973. I was one of 15 Mexican-American Chicano students in the entering class of 1600. Of the 15, there were only 2 women and 13 men. The vast majority of us came from families and high schools that had little, if any, history of sending students to the Ivy League. 2 of my classmates were Bill Gates Jr., founder of Microsoft, and John Roberts, current Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. It was here that I gained the self-confidence to try to become a professor of political science. I chose to go to graduate school at Rice University in my home state. I focused my studies on better understanding communities that were historically marginalized. I wanted to enrich the academy, in other words, to broaden its understanding of how institutions of American government could become more inclusive of all Americans. I wanted to be a professor who worked to make a university better able to serve all students, whatever their backgrounds, and including those students who universities were not accustomed to serving in their research, teaching, and service. I wanted to bring a distinct and enriching voice to the intellectual capacities of universities all around the country. I worked to do this at the University of Oklahoma, Stanford, and the University of Washington, where I held faculty positions. I think I made contributions to make each of these universities more inclusive than they were previously in my research, teaching, and service. When Notre Dame invited me back 6 years ago, it allowed me to now bring all of my academic experiences and outside experiences in consulting and advising in advocacy organizations, state capitals in Washington, D.C., to help Notre Dame continue to grow. It was yet another opportunity for me to be a transformational leader, grounded in faith-driven values and a vision of the unlimited capacity of institutions and leaders of higher education to be inclusive of all people who want to contribute to our country. Am I out of my comfort zone? I know that I work harder now than ever before. Would my grandparents and parents, mis abuelos y mis padres, be proud of what I am doing? My dad and mom told me so. Am I helping those who are not accustomed to being included? I am working to build bridges of understanding, commitment, and love in transformational leaders who see an America where all are included. In the end, whatever our superficial differences, we are all the children of God, are we not? Graduates, push yourselves. Let yourselves be transformational leaders for your generation and the next. My wife, Charlene Aguilar, and I need you. My children need you. Our grandsons, George Carlos Fraga and Patrick Luis Fraga, need you. We all need you to commit yourselves to be transformational leaders by having higher expectations of yourselves and of your country, higher expectations of your values and vision than ever before. As our nation grows in its multiculturalism, along the lines of religion, ethnicity, race, sexuality, other lines of historical division, your values and your vision, your transformational leadership are needed now more than ever to build an America worthy of your and future generations. As my parents' generation did, have a faith in a limitless future and a sense of responsibility to build communities of understanding, inclusion, and love. Work and live every day to leave a legacy to the next generations, your children and grandchildren, that they deserve. However hard this work is, be confident that it is worthy of you. I can assure you that it is worthy of the sacrifices your families have made to bring you here today. May God be with you as you continue on your life journey. If you look to God, if you look to Christ for your values and vision, I assure you, your work will be transformational. And you will be transformed as well. Being a transformational leader helps you live a more virtuous life. I know that I have been a better person because I have committed myself to this work. Our entire country will be better as a result of your doing so as well. We all know how much we need you to commit yourself to transformational work at this period of time in our nation's history. Latinx, Latinas, Latinos are 18% of our national population and still growing. They are 25% of all school-aged children across the country. Very interestingly, these numbers are much greater in our Catholic Church. Latinas, Latinos, Latinx are 35% of all Catholics in the United States, 52% a majority of all Catholic millennials, and 60% of all Catholics under the age of 18. There is much at stake if you do not commit yourself to this work. Our nation, and especially our church, will be shaped by the decisions you make about the values and vision that will guide you in your future lives. One of the fundamental tenets of the Congregation of Holy Cross is a foundational belief in divine providence. This is the belief that God has a plan for each of us, that God does not give us opportunities without a divine purpose. Think about this. Why are we all here this evening? Why are you soon to be graduates of Notre Dame? Why did you have the love and sacrifice of your parents and grandparents to make your success possible? Might it be the case that you are here for a reason? Might it be the case that you are here right now, in this sacred place in your lives, to commit yourselves to develop values and a vision to be a transformational leader? I think so. I pray that you accept God's plan. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you on your very, very special weekend. Congratulations to you and your families for all you have accomplished, and especially for what you will accomplish in your future. Buena suerte y que Dios los bendiga. Good luck, and may God bless you, your families, the Catholic Church, and may God bless the United States of America.
Gracias, Dr. Fraga. Now, without further ado, and on behalf of our fellow members of the faculty, staff, and administration, who could not be prouder, we present the Latino graduates of the class of 2021 of the University of Notre Dame. Maria Aguillón de la Maza, Samantha Amisquita, Aaron Benavides, Michelle Casas Garcia, Celine Castillo, Jonathan Cuji, Ana del Valle, Julia Dilhoff, Retta Eubanks, Odalis González Reyes, Amorete Hernández, Okran Holloway, Estefan Linares, Natalie Yarro, Alexandra Martínez, Aldolfo Mora, Alejandra Osorio, Isel Otero Torres, Cassandra Pérez, Sarah Price, Chad Ramos, Mariana Silva, Mariana Suárez, Jennifer Torres, Christopher Toduzzi, Cynthia Trujillo, Aine Beón. De nuevo, felicidades. ¡Qué orgullo! I am so very proud of all of you and so looking forward to seeing and hearing what all you will do in the world. Now, it is with that same orgullo that I introduce our graduating senior speaker, Miss Odalis González Reyes. Odalis is from American Falls, Idaho, and an Anne Bryce Scholar. She is the 2020-2021 Reverend Theodore M. Hesburgh CSC Award winner. Odalis has served on different committees that have given her the opportunity to advocate and strengthen underrepresented communities on our campus. She is truly an inspiration, and it is with great pleasure that I introduce Odalis González Reyes.
Buenas noches y bienvenidos. Es un honor estar aquí en un fin de semana tan especial. Y porque es un momento tan especial, he decidido dar mi discurso en español por dos razones. Esas dos razones son mi mamá y mi papá. Todo este fin de semana van a estar confrontados con ceremonias, discursos y conversaciones en inglés, sin poder entender o disfrutar de la misma manera que los demás padres. Pero aunque sea por los próximos 10 minutos, ellos y todos los familiares que tampoco entienden bien el inglés van a poder entender todo lo que voy a decir, porque al fin del día, esto es por y para ellos. Mi nombre es Odalis. Durante mis años de primaria y secundaria, mis maestros y compañeros me llamaban Odalis, tanto al grado de que adopté esta pronunciación de mi nombre. En la escuela era Odalis y en casa Odalis. Eran casi dos personas diferentes. Yo era dos personas diferentes. Tanto era esta separación que al introducirme me presentaba como Odalis si hablaban en inglés, pero como Odalis si hablaban español. Mi modo predeterminado era, por desgracia, Odalis, ya que nadie más que mis papás me llamaban Odalis. En el 5º grado, tuve un maestro que buscó la significancia de los nombres de todos sus alumnos. Según él, mi nombre significaba fortuna y riqueza. Tiene razón, pero no del todo. Mi nombre puede significar fortuna y riqueza, pero no en dinero. Tengo fortuna y riqueza en mis seres queridos, pero más que nada en mi familia. Mi nombre representa el valor de mis papás al dejar sus familias y todo lo que conocían en México para venir a los Estados Unidos cuando yo tenía 3 años. Detrás de mi nombre están los años que mi mamá ha trabajado en la bodega de papas y los años que mi dad se pasó moviendo líneas. Mi nombre está quemado por las horas debajo del sol todos los días. Igual es el dolor de cabeza de estar encerrada todo el día rodeada por el zumbido continuo de las cintas transportadoras y las máquinas. Mi nombre huele a los químicos y papa podrida con los que llegaban a mi casa mis papás. Mi nombre carga el peso de trabajar antes de que salga el sol y hasta horas después de que oscurezca. Mi nombre es la vez que mi dad contestó Happy New York en vez de Happy New Year al señor de la tienda. Mi nombre se esconde detrás de la sonrisa de mi mamá, asustada de que alguien le haga una pregunta en inglés que ella no podrá entender ni responder. Mi nombre vive en todos los apartamentos y trailas a los que rentábamos, con el sueño de mi mamá de un día poder tener una casa que ella podría decir que era de ella. Cada letra de mi nombre representa 100 veces que tuve que llamar al doctor, al dentista o a cualquier otro lugar para traducir. Representa la juventud que mis padres perdieron por tener que crecer tan rápido dado a sus situaciones. Mi nombre duele tanto como las peleas con las que tenía con mis hermanos. En mi nombre están los años que mi hermana tuvo que criarme mientras mis papás trabajaban y los años que tuve que criar a mi hermano cuando ella se fue. Detrás de mi nombre están los sacrificios y esfuerzos que mi familia han hecho por mí. Eso es la fortuna y riqueza a que se refiere mi nombre. Y detrás de cada uno de nuestros nombres y apellidos hay una historia, se ha asimilado completamente diferente a la mía. Se encuentra la historia de nuestros ancestros. Nuestros nombres representan los sueños, la discriminación, los miedos, la explotación de nuestros ancestros. Representan los lugares dejados y los lugares que nunca podrán ir, de los esfuerzos que han enfrentado nuestros papás, abuelos, bisabuelos, grandes bisabuelos y todos nuestros seres queridos al cruzar la frontera o cuando la frontera nos cruzó. Mis compañeros de graduación, cuando llegamos a la Universidad de Notre Dame, nos dijeron que estábamos rodeados de los futuros líderes. Nosotros íbamos a ser esos líderes algún día. Pero lo que no se dieron cuenta es que ya éramos líderes. Cada uno de nosotros estamos aquí por los talentos y experiencias que traemos a esta universidad. Notre Dame nos necesitó tanto o más que nosotros necesitábamos a Notre Dame. No nada más trajimos talento, pero también trajimos cultura, como Rafa Bañuelos y Carlos Murillo con Banda ND, o como Cassandra Pérez con los años que regaló su voz a Mariachi ND. Andrés Walliser Wejebe tenía tantos talentos que se quedó 5 años aquí. O como Alejandra Osario, que un día será una gran doctora. Isel Otero Torres, que sirvió en el consejo de Latinx Student Alliance sus 4 años aquí y este año como presidenta. Oscar Magdaleno de Chicago va a trabajar en banco de inversión, como Frankie Hernández, mi fellow Idahoan, que seguirá sus estudios aquí en Notre Dame mientras enseña a la próxima generación de líderes. En la clase de Latinos en el futuro de América del profesor Fraga, hablamos sobre muchos líderes latines, como Sonia Sotomayor y Julián Castro. La pregunta que siempre hacemos es, ¿son líderes latinos o líderes que por casualidad son latinos? La diferencia cae en sus metas y estrategias. Un líder que es Latinx pone primero sus metas antes que su gente. Es un líder, pero no para los latinos. Por otra parte, un líder Latinx es alguien que empodera a su pueblo, quien tiene la meta de mejorar la situación de su gente. Tiene un propósito de grupo. A mis queridos graduados, espero que todos nosotros escojamos ser líderes Latinx, que les demos voz a nuestra comunidad. Líderes Latinx con una misión de empoderar a nuestra gente de diferentes maneras, con todos nuestros talentos. Es nuestra hora para ser líderes transformacionales. Hoy continuamos en nuestro viaje para engordecer a nuestra familia y aprovechar todas las oportunidades que ellos nunca pudieron obtener. Hoy marcamos otro hito, acercándonos a que cada sacrificio que nuestros seres queridos han decidido o han sido obligados a hacer, que valga la pena. Mi nombre es Odalis Janet González Reyes y soy hija de Juan Carlos González y Reina Reyes, hermana de Marta García y Juan González. Este fin de semana me graduó de la Universidad de Notre Dame, gracias a ellos. Tomen un minuto para decir con orgullo sus nombres y de sus seres queridos que los han apoyado. Hoy nos graduamos todos gracias a nuestros seres queridos, así que esto es para ellos. Felicidades a los graduados y a sus familias. Que Dios los siga bendiciendo hoy y siempre.
Thank you, Odalis, for all that you have done, and we look forward to all that you will accomplish. Bendiciones. Now, the Institute for Latino Studies would like to present their well wishes.
On behalf of the Institute for Latino Studies, congratulations, class of 2021. You have reached a major milestone in your lives, and we know that you will be leaders in your places of work, in your communities where you live, and of course, where you worship. We are so proud of everything you and your families have accomplished. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Finally, I would like to present the Hispanic alumni of Notre Dame. They are here to welcome you to the elite group of graduates of the University of Notre Dame.
Hola, I am Veronica Alonso, the chairperson for the Hispanic of Alumni Notre Dame Board. Felicidades and congratulations on this joyous occasion. You did it. You are now part of our Hispanic alumni community, which includes 6,800 other alumni. One of my favorite memories from Notre Dame was during football and basketball games, when the cheerleaders would hold up signs that said, "We are ND," because I truly believed that when we were cheering our Irish onto victory, no matter our last name, Alonso, Gutierrez, Gonzalez, O'Reilly, or Smith, we were all cheering for the same thing. We were all cheering for Our Lady and for a victory. Somos ND. Y también somos familia. And as a member of our Hispanic alumni community, remember to lean on those that have walked in your shoes. There are 6,800 other alumni that are just waiting to connect with you, waiting to help you on your next journey and to be able to walk side by side with you as a familia. Y también somos primeros. Some of you and many of us are first-generation college graduates, such as myself. And we followed our parents' dreams, who came to this country to provide a better future for us. And you did it. You got that Notre Dame degree. And now you have endless opportunities. And as someone once said, the world needs your perspective. They are lucky to have you. Now, you will hear from other fellow Hispanic alumni and a congratulatory message just for you.
Congratulations to all you brilliant and courageous graduates. It is my honor to remind you that as you take these next steps on your journey, you are the beginning of your own legacy of greatness. And wherever you go in this world, you will always be a member of Our Lady's family, and you will always have our support.
A los padres, a los abuelos y a todos los que hicieron esto posible. En Notre Dame siempre somos familia. Felicidades y que Dios los bendiga.
Congratulations and go Irish!
Wow, that was an impressive family, and I hope you felt the love and joy that we all have for you. And now I have a message for your parents. Para los papás. Gracias por su valentía. Gracias por confiar en que cuidaran a sus hijos mientras que estaban lejos de ustedes. Reconozco que fue un sacrificio, pero también quiero que sepan que su hijo se graduó de la mejor universidad de este país. Así que asegúrese de darle un fuerte abrazo y también decirles lo orgulloso que están de ellos. Thank you, congratulations, my fellow alumni. Welcome to the familia. Somos ND and go Irish.
Thank you. As always, it is wonderful to see the continued growth of the Hispanic alumni of Notre Dame. We have now come to the end of our ceremony. Gracias a todos. En particular, queremos agradecer a los estudiantes por habernos ayudado a planear esta ceremonia. Thank you for all your hard work. As we close, I would like to ask you, the graduates, to take time in the next few days to acknowledge the efforts of all the people who helped you arrive at this moment. Graduates of the University of Notre Dame. I would ask you to especially thank family members and God for the inspiration to live out who you are called to be. Que Dios los bendiga. Thank you once again for joining us on this special occasion. Congratulations, class of 2021.